No.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Oh my God, somebody is on it today.
I've had a lot of caffeine.
Oh,
What?
really? Shocker. Oh, yeah. Like, are you pouring the Dr. Pepper in the coffee?
And double
Chaser.
fisting. I have been drinking
Chaser.
both because this is just like regular coffee. But I had it's freezing.
Yeah, it
In
is chilly.
Detroit today, it's like 53 right now, 51 or something. And I have a space heater blowing on me too. So I got coffee because I was cold.
Yes.
So I'm like, there's this much left. And then I was like, but I also want my Dr. Pepper. So I already had one of these today. I'm not kidding.
Oh my God.
I know. Well, and we'll get into that a little bit. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to
We Don't Know Things. Clearly, Nathan does not know how caffeine really impacts the body. Because let's just drink it up.
That's right. So let me start with this because I have had so much caffeine lately, which I never drank soda unless I was in the office on the 2 days.
Yeah.
But we've been home all summer, pretty much home all summer, work from home. I'm not sure why they did it, but I think because of like holidays and vacations and stuff, it's just easier. So I go back on Tuesday to going back to hybrid. So anyway, when they sent us home, the only time that I ever drink caffeine is when I'm in my 2 days in the office. I drink coffee there because it's freezing in our office. So, but I've been taking a long hiatus off of alcohol. So to fill that like, need where I'm always drinking something, I've been drinking like diet soda, which happens to have caffeine. But I also have non-caffeine one. But then in the mornings, I'm like, I still want caffeine after my coffee.
Right.
Because I drink the coffee so fast to warm up and wake up. And then I'm like, well, now what am I going to drink? I'm not just going to drink water. So
that's boring. Yeah,
yes. I know. Isn't that a great story? I'm glad I started with that's very interesting.
It's riveting. I think our one fan is still with us.
Yes, hopefully. Probably, I'm assuming it's a she. She's probably like, gosh, I'm so glad I tuned in today.
Yeah, she's like, oh yeah, I forgot to drink my coffee this morning.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nate.
Yeah. Or she's like, now I really do want a soda. So we'll give you a minute to go get your soda.
Yeah. To regroup, come back.
And we're back. So we've got a few things to talk about. I want to talk about your recent diagnosis because that's interesting to me. I like hearing about new things like that. And I want to talk about my newfound love of going to the movies by myself.
Ooh, which one do you want to start with first?
Let's start with yours because I'm very interested in how all this, because last time we talked about you going and being treated a lot better in this non-traditional medical thing. So kind of pick up from there and tell us what they found and what you're going through now.
Yeah, so I couldn't remember if we had talked about it. So I decided after months of just feeling like crap, and this was probably back at some point like in June when I was in Italy. One of the gals that came on the trip with us, she recommended me to where she goes. Unfortunately, they were just so backed up on a wait list. But anyhow, I found another place, and the reason being was talking to my doctors. Like, they're in the same network, so they can always get on and see my records from each other, right? Like they, but neither one of them, and I had seen them probably both at least twice, saying the same things of, I'm constantly tired. I'm getting these horrible headaches that I never had before. And this was like stemming, I think, back in, maybe at the beginning of the year. And I've been trying to think like how long this has been going on, because it's so normal for me now to feel like utter crap that I can't even figure out where the line
what normal feels like. Yeah.
Right. Like, what did I feel like before this?
Right.
And I just got so tired of just being poo-pooed by it. Like, at first I thought, well, maybe it has something to do with hormones, at my age, perimenopause. Right. Oh, it's normal.
This is normal.
No, like this shouldn't be normal for people feeling terrible. So it's going to push you out the door. That's just what we're do. But yet at the same time, you're going to prescribe me a medicine for every symptom that I have, but you're never looking for the root of the problem. And so I just thought, okay, I'm not going to get it here. Let's try one of these fully functional health doctors. I mean, what do I have to lose at this point in time? And so I think I went there. It was.
Hang on, is it me or is the music loud all of a
I was
sudden?
gonna say, I was just gonna tell you if you want to turn it down a little bit, because like it was
It's
fine
usually
when
on
it
8.
jumped up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still on 8.
That's
Just
crazy.
turn it off. There.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead. I was like, what the hell just happened? I was like,
thought it
wait,
was
Amanda's talking, or is it?
right. I just kind of thought I was like, maybe it always is this loud, and I just
No,
like
I don't know
today
what
I
the
just
hell just
happened to notice
happened.
that. Okay, well,
Technical difficulties. Anyway,
right.
go ahead.
We were having a party. So yeah, so I found this integrative health doctor. Um, and I think it was probably about 3 weeks ago, August 14th ish, that I went in, I mean, a battery of tests ran. It was
Right.
blood draws, it was your, typical kind of urine samples, finger prick for food sensitivities. And then there was a couple take home tests that I had to do. So, all in all, it took me like 2 weeks to get all the tests done.
Right.
And it's not cheap, folks. It was like $4,500 for me to go in and be on like this schedule, right? Like kind of like this 2 month schedule with them. It covered most of the tests, but then there's probably still like an extra $500 that I have to pay on top for all of the testing, because you have to pay the labs sometimes.
Oh.
So in any event, some of the test results have been coming in. I was going to meet with them at the end of this month. After all the results came in, they had a chance to look through everything and basically come up with an action plan, right?
Right.
And so I get a call on Wednesday from one of the assistants. She's like, hey, your physician's assistant wants to talk to you. One of your test results came in and we really don't want to wait until the end of the month. And I'm like, okay, what test, etc. It was a tick-borne illness test that I took. And I remember like filling out all the paperwork for it. I just didn't think really much of it, because here, and I think even up where you're at, it's like we're in a mild risk zone for Lyme disease. Northeast, I think, is like the high risk, like Connecticut, New Hampshire, Vermont, that area up there. So I really didn't think anything of it. I just thought, yeah, they're just checking, kind of doing all the battery of tests that would account for what I'm feeling, right? Sure enough, that test alerted. Now, it's not Lyme disease, it's called Bartonella disease. And I don't know much about it. I mean, I've done basic Google searches on it to try to find out what it is, but it's akin to Lyme disease, but it's not Lyme disease.
So is it, you get it from a tick?
So you can get it from a tick, you can get it from a mosquito, or you can get it from a flea.
Wow.
And have you ever heard of cat scratch fever?
Yeah.
That's Bartonella disease. There's like a couple different strains, and that is one.
Wow.
So like if you get scratched or bit by a feral cat or something like that, there's a chance that you could get the Bartonella. So I don't know when I got this. I'm thinking maybe last summer, and it's just taken a while in my body, and finally it just builds up to the point where then you start to notice that you're feeling bad.
Oh my goodness, I wonder if you got it from a cat, from one of your cats.
Well, I have them, and I asked him, I said, okay, well, does this mean that I need to take my cats to the vet? Like, is there something that they need to be tested for? Just thinking along those lines. She thought I meant because they have people ask, and this doesn't shock me because people are so fucking stupid. Do I need to get rid of my cat? I'm like,
oh my gosh.
What? I'm like, oh God, these types of people like just drive me nuts. She said that, and I was like, oh no. I'm not getting rid of them. I think you misunderstand. Like, I need to know, is there something here that I need to take them to the vet and have them tested and checked out? Like, is it something that could be adversely affecting them? So but it accounts for like all of the symptoms that I've been complaining about to my regular doctors, which is these horrible headaches,
Right.
general fatigue every day, all day. I don't get great sleep. It just feels like I got, I wrestled all day the day before, and I'm just so sore all over,
Hmm.
like muscle soreness, some
Right.
joint soreness. My neck has just always felt stiff. I just feel like I just want to like take it off and just rip it out and put it back on because it just always feels so stiff. My lower back is always
Mhm.
stiff. And yeah, like every single one of those that the other two doctors told me, "Oh, that's just
It's
normal."
normal, right? So
So
did they say you should take your cats in? What was the
no,
to
it's
like get them
nothing.
to?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
think for them, my guess is it's like kind of like we get cold sores.
Hmm.
It's a
Oh
herpes
yeah, yeah,
virus, but it
and
just
it just
lives in
goes
your
away.
system. Yeah, I think probably for them it's something like that, where
Mm,
it's just like their body tolerates it and
right.
manages it. But with humans, from what I read, from what I gathered, it's a bacteria that like it forms a film around itself that like
Okay.
our immune system can't penetrate.
Huh.
Like it can't fight off the infection, and then it tends to hide out like in your blood vessels or like areas of the body that I guess is trickier for the immune system to manage.
Hmm.
Um, but so I'm on antibiotics for at
What's
least
the
a month.
antibiotic? I'm just curious.
Uh, doxycycline.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just
That's
your
what Jason was
standard,
on.
yeah, standard antibiotic. And then I have to take another pill that just helps with some of the side effects for being on antibiotics long term.
Right.
And then I'll have a couple more supplements that I have to be on again to kind of help with the toll that antibiotics can take on the body as far as
Yeah.
like depletion of other minerals, nutrients, and things like
Right.
that. So, and then I think like come November, December, I have to get retested then to see if
Okay.
it's still active in my body. And then,
Wow.
yeah, so that's been eye opening. Like, I just
At
never
least you
would
have
have
some
thought.
answers.
Yeah, at least I do. I think, like I was telling you over text, I think what aggravates me the most about it is, I'm just grateful that I have the money that I can
Right.
pay for this. But there's how many other people out there got the same treatment I did that can't afford that or don't
Right.
know about it,
Right.
right? And it's just like our conventional medical system, like I am so disappointed in it and honestly pissed off that I'm like, I don't think I'm ever going to go back to my regular doctor. What are you going to do for me besides
Right.
you're great at writing a script, but that's it.
Yeah.
You can't manage like actually taking me seriously. Like, here's some if you look at the background, I don't come into the doctor's office that often. So if
Right.
I'm here complaining about something, don't you
It's
think
a
that
big deal.
probably
Yeah.
means something?
Yeah.
Like it's using that problem solving skill that well, I don't think the system is set up to benefit doctors from doing that. Doctors are benefited through writing prescriptions and seeing as many people as they can. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't think our system is really set up to find out what the problem is versus, oh, here's a pharmaceutical and
Hmm.
we'll just make all the
Yeah.
pharmaceutical companies, the drug makers even more rich because it
It's
keeps it up.
it's no longer a humanitarian thing as much as it is a moneymaker.
Oh, it's a business.
It's financially driven. Yeah.
I mean, you think about that, and then you think about the insurance that you have to pay, how fucking expensive it is, and how most of
Hmm.
them like do not give you coverage and treatment at the very beginning stages, but they wait till it's a full blown case and it's 100 times more expensive. Then that's where it comes in, and I'm like, really?
Hmm.
That makes no
Well,
damn sense to me.
my insurance, I mean, for preventive, obviously it covers
Sure.
100%, but like I think I looked at my insurance this past week because we had some things we were going to try and switch Jason over to mine, but and a good example is it's already September and I still have at least 2,100 something of my deductible to meet
Yeah.
before co-insurance even comes into play, and then that is 6,000 out of pocket to meet before they cover things at 100%. So I'm not even going to make it
Mm-mm.
through the end of, I'm not going to meet my deductible before December. And then
Yeah.
guess what? It resets in January.
Yeah.
So it's so pointless to have.
Yeah.
I mean, I have it because preventive I have to do, but it's ridiculous. It's so stupid to have it if you can't even get past your deductible for coverage.
Oh yeah, and since the integrative health isn't covered under insurance, they don't accept insurance. It doesn't even go to my deductible.
That's so dumb. It's like they purposely keep you in debt.
They purposely keep you sick.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy
conspiracy
theorist,
theorists,
but
but
like
there's, I mean, when facts are facts, they're there.
that's the thing is there was another podcast I was listening to, and it didn't have anything to do about the health system
I'm
or
sure it
what
wasn't as good
what
as
we're
ours,
talking
right?
about. Huh?
I'm sure it wasn't as good as our podcast.
Never,
Not
never.
even close. Okay.
But
I
there
just
was
wanted
this,
to clarify.
yeah, we just wanted to clarify it for our one viewer that you're in the right spot. You can invite others. We'd appreciate that, but you're in the right
Please,
spot.
please
Um,
invite
but
others.
no, that so this guy, I think he's a modern day historian, and he has his own podcast. And so what he was talking about was all these stories that he researches for months, if not years, and they're like 5 hour long podcasts of him
Wow.
just delivering, and it's very good. It's called Martyr Made, and I forget the guy's name. Damn it. But it's really good. I mean, he just
Mhm.
there's so much pieces that he brings in that may not even be in relation to the actual story that he's telling, but they're so similar. And what his take on it was is he's like, look, there's always a lot of quote circumstantial evidence, right? So you look at one thing and you're like, okay, well that can happen. And
Right.
it doesn't mean anything, right? It's just law of probability, it happens. But he's like, but then you start adding all the different variables in together, and then it's like, okay, each on their own, okay, they can happen. But then you start to add them all up, and it's like, no, there's a bigger story here, because what's the probability that all of them occur at
Right.
the same time?
Right.
And so I think it's kind of like that with the medical system these days, because you have insurance that is just too expensive for people to have. I mean the whole Affordable Care Act, I don't think it's really affordable for
No.
anybody anyhow. It doesn't matter. I mean,
Right.
if you go through the marketplace, it's still ridiculously expensive.
It
I don't even
is.
understand it.
I don't either. And I don't know how they advertise zero, like on the commercials, like
Yeah.
paying for, like, I'm like, nope, no, no matter how you try to enroll on it. There was a time when Jason was unemployed, you know,
Mhm.
several years back, and we tried to get him that. It was more than having insurance through an employer. And it's like, how the hell am I supposed to afford this when I don't have a job? You know, like
Yeah.
what? It makes no
Yeah.
sense.
It doesn't make sense, and then you get to the point that you were saying, then you're paying your premiums, then you have your deductible to meet, if you even meet that.
Right.
Then you have the fact that, like I said, it's just the treatment of the patient, that they're treating your symptoms. They're never really trying to figure out what's going on, because I don't think anybody ever would have tested me for this tick-borne illness.
Right.
I mean,
It
it's
goes
just
back
it's
to what you were saying, being your own advocate,
yeah.
because if you hadn't went out and sought a different way, then I mean, and think of how many people that don't.
That's the thing too, is like, I mean, hopefully somebody will see this and be like, okay, I'm just going to push harder for what I
Yeah.
need to have done, because I don't feel right. And it's like,
Right.
well, you did the same thing for yourself when
Oh my
going on,
God.
what
For
was
many
it, the
years.
Lexapro? Yeah.
Oh, for anxiety. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, well, and for many years. I mean, I had to do so much shit to figure out how to get treated for Meniere's. It was out, and most of it was out of my pocket. I had MRIs done. I had hearing tests. Well, hearing tests, MRIs. I had brain scans. I had everything in the book to try and figure out what the hell. I was tested for brain tumors and stuff like that, like because I just couldn't figure it out. And it's like
Mhm.
every doctor was just like, no, 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 you're fine. This test came back normal. And I was like, what the heck? There's got to be something out. There's something there. I'm not just imagining this crap. And the same with anxiety, like the doctors, and I understand not wanting to prescribe medication, or, drugs as a first resort. But as I told my doctor, I know myself better than you know me. And I know that it's going to a therapist is not going to fix this.
Yeah.
It hasn't my whole life. So yeah, not to beat a dead
But
horse.
you
We
know
already
what?
spoke about that,
But
but
that response that your doctors had of like, "No, it came back normal." Okay, but I still feel like shit,
yeah.
so let's
What
continue
else is
down
there?
this
Yeah.
road, like, what else can we do? Like, do you
Mhm.
need me send me to a specialist? And it's just like, they gaslight you so bad to make you feel like it is all up in your
Yeah.
fucking head, and then they wanna know why we have so much mental disease. Like,
Right.
honestly, it's just a system that feeds itself, and
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, I think that there's just so much about it that, to a level, I think it is people being greedy and finding ways that they can make money,
Oh yeah.
but by doing so and actually putting that into motion, it just makes the system it makes any observer of the system seem like, well, that's just kinda how it works
Yeah.
naturally, right? Like that
Instead of
so
challenging it.
right, so and I think in a way, like, all the players too, I mean, you look at the doctors, these are people that are hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt from their school. Are they gonna say anything? Are they gonna buck the system? No, they have a life to live, and I can't really fault them for falling into that mindset. Like, you just wanna have a life, you wanna,
Right.
be able to pay your bills and be able to do things and enjoy life, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, the more and more I look at it, the more and more I'm just so disheartened by the system itself, and then I think how people operate too. I think there is kind of a shift happening, but it's such a small enclave that
Mhm.
it's not main stage of questioning your doctors, because I think it's taught you don't question your doctor. They have more knowledge and training and education than you, but it goes back to what you just said and what I just said of we know ourselves better.
Yeah.
Like, you have met me one fucking time for 15 minutes, and all of a sudden, all your
Mhm.
hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt of education, and what, you have a crystal ball now? Like,
Right. We know our own normal.
yeah, and
And
that's what
everybody has a different
confuses
normal, so you can't put them
yeah,
all on one straight line and judge them all based on that one way. Like everybody's normal is different. And I
not
think
only
that
that
doctors want to do that. Like, oh, this is what I usually prescribe somebody with the same problem. It may not be the same.
it
Sometimes it is, but it may not be.
right, exactly, and then, okay, well, if that's the usual way and it's not helping, then why is your first thought then, "Okay, this isn't the normal run-of-the-mill situation, so
Right.
what is the next step we take?" It was like they just shut me down,
Hmm.
and I couldn't believe that, and these were women doctors too
Yeah.
that were right around my age, which kind of floored me. I'm like, "So you felt like shit too for ten years and you were okay with it?
Yeah, I wouldn't
Like,
be.
you're okay with that. Okay." And then the fact that it's just like, again, they're part of the same network, and not one of them decided to look at the other's notes to see what I was talking about with the other, to see over the last 2, or over the last year that I've had the same problem.
Right.
So, but at least, yeah, at least I'm getting help. So I'm on antibiotics. This is my second day on them.
Oh,
I mean, we'll see. Yeah, it takes a while for the
yeah.
antibiotics to kick in and work anyhow. I've just had a hell of a headache since like Thursday. It kind of
Ugh.
like I can take ibuprofen, it knocks it back enough that I don't really notice it, but then there's times where it'll start growing again.
Hmm.
Last night though, thank God I slept 10 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, I went to bed like at 8. I felt like a grandma on Friday
Oh
night.
my
I was
gosh,
like,
that's
"Yeah,
like
fuck it,
normal for
whatever."
me.
Yeah, I was like, whatever. I don't care. I can't wait to go to bed. I went to bed, and yeah, I didn't get up till about 6 o'clock this morning. Is when I first woke up. Had to go pee like an old person. And then I
Yeah.
went back to bed. But I was like, whatever. I don't care. I don't care how unactive I
Popular,
am at
uncool.
this point. Like, yeah,
Me too.
I'm not impressing anybody at this point. And to be, I think it finally maybe there was some type of like a relief of like, okay, I'm on on we know what it is, at least a
Right.
good portion of it. And
Yeah.
then I'm going to be on medicine. And I think maybe it was like finally my body could just relax. And I'm like,
Relax.
okay, I have a lot of information now that
Mhm.
basically accounts for practically all of my symptoms.
I know that feeling so much
Yeah.
because when I got on that anxiety medication and it finally wasn't making me sick in the beginning again, I was sleeping better. And then, yeah. And then just being off the alcohol, like I feel so different,
Yeah.
just staying away from it. And, I'm like, I don't even crave it because I just remember like
Feeling
it.
it gross on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And I mean,
honestly, like,
yeah.
I very rarely drink. I know we've had these conversations
Mhm.
before, but I don't like the way that I feel anymore. Like, I used to
Yeah.
fucking love it when we were in our 20s in college
Yeah.
and getting
Yeah.
fucking ripped, but I can't stand it now. Like, I don't even like being in it. I don't like that feeling of, like, not being
Mhm.
in control of, like, how I feel and not being able to shut it off, and to be
Mhm.
honest, I don't even really like the taste of it
Well,
anymore.
see, mine, like, that's the thing. I I did it more so for mine was just beer, and it's like I would drink beer like soda,
Mhm.
because it was like refreshing to me. But then I never got drunk on it. I just didn't ever get to that level. It was more of I enjoyed just beer. I
Right.
enjoyed, the flavor of it. But it was more so what I was really just getting sick of was the next day just feeling lazy. I didn't
Yeah.
really feel hungover. I was just unmotivated, and I had such bad like phlegm in
Mhm.
my chest every morning, and that's a sensitivity I have to wheat and barley and all that, which I did that test a couple of years ago and figured that out. But I was still drinking beer even though I shouldn't have wheat and barley and all that. So
Right.
like I was making all this phlegm to battle that. So every morning was like a battle of like trying to get all this stuff out of my chest and coughing up stuff and feeling lazy and unmotivated. And then when I just like stopped doing that within like 3 days, I was like not coughing up crap anymore. I had more energy, more motivation, and then taking the anxiety pill. And now, like, I don't even have a bad day. I'm never in a bad
Mhm.
mood. It's just like, I don't know. And I have like motivation. I'm just like, I don't want to go back to it. I don't crave it. I don't miss it. I just get wired sometimes on my caffeine.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll take this over that because I feel a lot better. So,
Well, it's amazing too, like, how alcohol depresses your system, how it can totally fuck with you like that, and then
yeah,
on top of that, when you don't sleep, I mean, not
yeah.
getting good sleep is that causes a
A
lot of
lot of stuff,
issues.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I sleep so much better now, and, like, it's just
Good.
amazing the physical attributes that are like, it's, like, astounding to me, the difference that it's made just in a month. So, yeah,
Yeah, that's why
it's
I'm looking forward to this kicking in, and, like, I've just it's just been weekend after weekend, and you get caught in that vicious cycle and loop of,
mhm,
like, being so pissed
yeah,
off that you don't feel well, that you don't feel motivated, that you don't wanna go out and be around people, or that "Oh, for the moment I do, but as soon as I get out there, I'm gonna get tired, I'm gonna wanna come home." And
right,
it always has pissed me off because it's like, I don't wanna just be home alone. Like, I don't necessarily
yeah,
mind it, but I do know I wanna go out and I wanna see
and
people, I
do
wanna meet
things, yeah,
people and do things. But it was just like, I was so tired to do it, and then
yeah,
mentally, I'd get so frustrated and mad, and it was just like this whole thing, and it just kept spinning and spinning and spinning.
that's a
So,
perfect segue into, like, me going to the movies alone now.
yeah,
Just that's one of the things that I
yeah,
mean, it. now I used to be like, I don't want to leave the apartment. I'm just too
Mhm.
lazy. I don't want to shower. I don't
Yep.
want to go do anything. And just like you said, once you try, you're like, no, I just want to be home. Like even going to
Yeah.
the store, when I was in the store, I'd be like, I can't wait to just be back home.
Yes.
But now like it doesn't bother me to drive, 20 minutes to a suburb to go to a movie and like just be there by myself and enjoy it. And like there's no anxiety or like I need to get back home kind of feeling, or I don't know. It's different. So yeah, I went to the movies last weekend and I'm going after this podcast.
Are you
And
gonna go see the new Beetlejuice?
yes, how did
Yeah.
you know? Last week I saw Twisters and I loved it. It was, I mean, my
Hokey, like the first one kind of was hokey too.
right. And so
Yeah.
like you didn't go see it for the storyline. For
Right.
it was for the graphics and like the excitement and like the just clinching the edge of the seat kind of moments, like, for lack of better terms. But yeah, that's why. And so this one, if I have to give a review, like it's basically the same exact story. And with no real throwback to the original
Oh,
story. Like
really?
none of
Okay.
the characters, they
That's
don't
good
reference.
though. That's
Yeah,
good that
it's
they didn't try to reinvent it.
no, that's kind of what they did do. But so
Uh,
what I mean is like there is no referencing like
that's what I
Joe in
meant,
the
like
original
yeah.
or the grandma in the original or the main. The only thing that references the original is Dorothy, the machine that they
Oh,
take
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
even that isn't used much. I think you see it one time in the whole movie. But like what I mean by is the same storyline is there's like somebody comes back from the past that
Mhm.
used to chase tornadoes and blah blah blah. And then there's the bad guys and the good guys, and there's that whole friction between them. So that whole thing is basically the same story,
Same, yeah.
just not a reference to the previous characters from the first one. It's
Got
like they
you.
took the same storyline
But they made it
and
their own.
made it their own with the one throwback to Dorothy, and that was it.
Dorothy, yeah.
But the graphics and stuff like that was cool and a lot better. They did a
Well, I
great job with
imagine.
that.
Do you remember
Yeah.
the first one and the stupid cow that just kind of
Yeah.
went around? I was like,
Yes.
"Really? That was so bad." That was like
Hmm.
like a cutout from construction
Yeah.
paper, and they just put it on a
And
popsicle stick and
yeah. And do you know that I was researching that first one because I was watching like reviews on the new one, and the reason they put the cow in there was a throwback to Wizard of Oz
Buzz,
when the
yeah.
cow goes flying by. So that's why they put that in there. But yeah, I liked it, and I'm excited to go see Beetlejuice because I loved the first one, and I
I
heard
love the
that
first
Catherine
one.
O'Hare is amazing in this one. They say there's like a little hint of Moira Rose in her character, just
Oh,
because is like her. I guess her character is so similar to that one, but
I could see that because 'cause I've seen
yeah,
because they've been playing clips from the old one of her, she's just fantastic. I
yeah,
love her and anything that she does. But, yeah, I could see how, like, those 2 characters kinda cross over, especially now that she's, aged from the first one. Because what?
right.
It's, like, 40 years since the first one came out, about?
Um,
When did the
I
first
don't.
it was in the '80s, I thought that the first one came out, like, late
Oh, I don't know
'80s,
because
maybe.
Winona Ryder is like close to my age. I thought.
Winona, I think, is older
Let
than
me see.
us.
Okay, let me see. Beetlejuice, because now you got me curious. Oh my gosh, you can't spell beetle. Just kidding. Let's see. The original was. Oh, it's only showing the new stuff. Beetlejuice. 1988. You're
Yeah.
right. So it's right there at the end of. Okay. So, but one of the things I was reading in the review of the new one that is a little bit, the person said it's a little bit of a bummer, and I can see this. You and I have spoke about it before on the podcast. Is they said that Beetlejuice's character isn't as raunchy as the original. Like they held back because they didn't want to offend anyone. Yeah, and that because he was pretty raunchy.
He was
I
raunchy in the
mean,
first one, and
the
that made the
stripper. Then when he
character.
goes to the strippers and
Yes!
like, all that. So like I can see how it's still Tim Burton, which he's incredible.
Yeah.
That created it, but I can see how that would be a bummer because plus, I mean, Michael Keaton is a lot older too.
He's
So
70. 70
yeah,
something, I think.
73 or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he looks great though for
he does.
70.
So I mean, as far as his physicality is concerned, there's probably a limitation on that, and the whole millennial wah wah
Yeah,
butthurt
no
people.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can see those two things being one of the a couple reasons why they would have toned it down a little. But I'm still
Which
excited
is
to see it.
hilarious to me because it wasn't a movie for the millennials. Like these
Yeah,
millennials, I think we're kind of like on the cusp of it, right? I do
yeah,
not consider myself. I feel like we're more Gen X
yeah,
than we are the millennials, but it's just
yeah.
like this wasn't even a movie that probably the core population of millennial grouping, they would have been shitting their pants when this thing came out, like, or not born yet. So,
Right.
like, I just think it's sad that we're catering to a group of people that have absolutely no affinity to this film.
Yeah.
And for that, millennials, fuck you. Like, honestly, go fuck yourself. Take your fucking blankie, put your diaper on, go shit in a corner somewhere. I really don't give a fuck. Like, you know what? It's not offensive. You're offended. There's a difference. Figure it the fuck out. But don't sit here and shit on everybody else's parade because you got a sensitive ass. Get over it. That's my public service announcement for the day, kids. You're welcome.
Need some diaper rash for them. Here
Yeah,
you go.
exactly.
Spread that on thick.
Just spread it on, sweetheart. Stay home. Life's rough. Wear a helmet. Like Jesus Christ.
Life's rough.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so offended.
I can't wait.
It still amazes me because you remember, I'm sure we were offended in our 20s at something, but it's just like we kind of like we
You
went
get over it.
fuck and then walked away from it and figured something else out. Like to us, like spinning our wheels on that just did not, like, it never made sense.
Because it wasn't so popular to do so.
That's
I
true.
think it's
You didn't
more
get
of like a
kudos.
trend.
Yeah, you didn't get kudos or thumbs up for being offended. It wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't constantly propped up
Yeah.
by giving accolades for it.
Yeah. Now it's such a trend to like complain about something. And people get like screen time and they get I mean, the thing that entertains a lot of people is watching Karen videos and people getting in fights in public and being idiots in public. And I think while a lot of us watch this stuff and it's entertaining because we're like, what a dumbass, we're still watching it.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like some of these people are like, oh, I could do that. And people would watch me and I'd be funny and cool and I'd get
really
views.
sick.
Yeah.
Sick mindset.
I mean, it's the whole rubbernecking thing. Like when you see an accident, and I'm guilty of it, I'm like, oh, I want to see what happened.
Yeah.
It's like you cuss out the people that are slowing traffic down for doing that, but then you're like,
right.
I mean, we're all a little guilty of that.
About it, like maybe somebody won't notice.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's that we're all just so addicted to Misfortune and like that kind of stuff and wanting to see and be nosy. Like, I don't know anybody that isn't interested to some degree of stuff like that.
Well, I think that's fine. I think it's fine having a curiosity for the macabre or whatever else. But when you want to sit there and make your whole life about it, then that's
want views.
Yeah, that's you've got some mental issues that you probably need to go have staked out. But
you want fame from misfortune.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Exactly. Which, I mean, just like what a horrible life to lead.
Lonely
from Misfortune. Like, good God, you can't even enjoy the fame then.
Right.
You're
thinking of the next thing you got to do to keep it rolling.
Right. Oh my God. Like, okay, how can I lose my arm tomorrow? It'll suck for the next 50 years of my life being one appendage down, but
yeah.
Hey, I got 1 million views.
Well, I mean, that's what comes from like shows like Jackass and stuff like that. Like, I mean, if we want to even go deeper, that's what America's Funniest Videos.
Oh,
They're
straight up.
mostly videos of people
Getting
getting
hurt.
hurt
Yeah.
or doing something that's really embarrassing on accident. Like all that stuff comes down to how voyeuristic our society is.
That is, you know what? That's a very good point. I didn't think about America's Funniest Home Vet videos because God, we grew up on that and it was
And it's still
hilarious to
around.
watch
Yeah.
and it's still around, but that really was kind of
Mm-hmm.
the first foray into kind
Mm-hmm.
of that genre. But how I did, yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't think about that in specific, but yeah, that's a good
It
point.
is. It's the first tone of reality television.
Yeah.
Unscripted entertainment, and it's inexpensive because you
Yeah.
don't have to pay these people.
Yeah.
They just turn the shit in
They
just to
wanna
get
they wanna
noticed.
show up and be embarrassed on national
Right.
TV because
They
they
want
made
to be
in, like,
famous for, and then we pay
$10,000.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You pay people for shit they didn't even mean to do.
Right.
So why wouldn't YouTubers be out there
Right,
doing
exactly.
stupid shit? Because they're like, hey, maybe somebody will pay me for this someday.
The other side of that coin is how do I wanna put this? So you have on the one extreme people going out there the fame of your misfortune, but then on the other side of that coin it's a lot of people that I think gross up some ridiculous achievement too and
But
post out there, like especially like I don't really have a good example other than like sometimes when I'm on LinkedIn and I'm just scrolling through I follow certain people, but of course your friends or you're linked to
yeah.
everybody you've ever worked with under the
Right.
sun.
Right.
And you know what? I've started not to accept people that I
Me
work
too.
with just because I'm like, I just,
What's the point? Yeah.
sometimes when you move on, you move on. You don't want, I don't know. Maybe I'm weird like that, but
No, I'm the same way.
I just don't feel, but I think there's this like um oh god, what's the word for it? It's just like this automatic acceptance. As soon as you start a new job, you have to get linked to everybody. And I'm just like,
Right.
no, it's not a necessity and I don't want to. And of course, people, I think because you and I probably are in the smaller group that don't do all this. And people are like, but that's weird. And I'm like, well, you should see all the shit you guys post. Like it's this faux triumph. It's
Yeah.
this faux I accomplished this. And it's
Hmm.
it's like, okay, but like do you have to make a posting about this
Right.
accomplishment?
Right. Yeah, I don't ever get on LinkedIn
Or
because
what I think is odd too is the whole when you tag people that you work with, "Oh, thanks for making this one of the best places to work." And I'm just like,
could you stuck up anymore?
I don't understand. Like,
Right.
stop it. Like, I don't. It's this really like faux Oscar acceptance speech for whatever
Hmm.
the fuck you did that you thought was a huge triumph. And again,
Right.
it's people living in their own world. And like I'm not saying like if you accomplish something, absolutely take pride in that because I think a lot of times we're just taught to, oh, hey, you accomplished it. You got to figure out what's next. Go do it. There's not a
Hmm.
point in time that you can really feel great about yourself because
Yeah.
there's a lot of energy and inspiration and motivation that you can draw from that. So I do think it's important, but I don't think it's important enough that like everything has to be a fucking post.
Right. It's like getting a trophy for participation.
Yes. It's like,
Like,
oh, fantastic. You showed up to a job that you were hired to fucking do that we pay you to do.
right,
Congratulations. Are
here's
you
your
fucking kidding
accolade.
me? Yeah, exactly. I just
Right.
like
We
I
talked about that last
yeah,
time about Subway, like tipping them to make a sandwich when it's like,
your
that's
fucking
what you were
job.
hired to do. I don't tip them anymore. I don't tip places for doing the job. I'll tip them if they went above and beyond, but no.
Same, same. But I kind of
I
feel like
mean,
it's the
yeah,
same way with like corporate positions too, of almost like people think they should get this merit increase every year. And you
I
don't really,
know. When did that become a thing? It used to be you only got a raise if you actually like exceeded expectations. Now, everywhere I've been for probably the last 3 jobs, you get some sort of small raise regardless. I mean, unless you're like about to be fired. But like even when you meet expectations, you still get some percentage raise, which is really strange. I'm not complaining. It's just odd. A
Well,
raise used to be motivation to like go above and beyond.
to keep going and that
Yeah.
you'll be rewarded. But
Yeah.
I will say though too, it's like one, the cost of living. I think
Yeah.
maybe that like the inflation has had a big impact is because that's been a consistent thing for like the last 3 years. So I
Well, and
think
it's corporation jumps on something anymore. If you're a corporation that doesn't join the bandwagon,
yeah.
then you're considered shitty. It's kind of like during like this whole hybrid thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, there are so many people I work with and other people that I don't work with that are like, if I ever have to go back into the office full time, I'm quitting. And I mean, we really do control them now
Yeah.
because there are tons out there that do work from home that, so a lot of people are quitting those jobs that require them in office all week. And it's kind of like, if all these corporations are doing the most popular thing and you don't do it, you're going to be the one out in the dark.
Yeah. That's a lot of it. And I do think for the most part, you hire people because you trust them that they can do the job.
Yeah,
Like whether they're on site or at home, that shouldn't matter,
it
especially in this
shouldn't.
day and age when we can facilitate it. Not only that, but you don't have to have as big of an office space.
Sadly, the trust gets killed
Oh, it
by
does
those people
because
that take advantage. We've
well, because
spoken
it
about
takes
that
only one person, and I think
to
we
fuck it
talked
up.
about this on a
Yeah,
last
yeah.
podcast too. It's like it
One
takes
of our
one person to
employees,
fuck it up. Yep. And
well,
then
previous employee, yeah, that
yeah,
they fucked it up for everyone else, and we're stuck with their trash
yep, exactly, and
policy.
these
Yeah,
yeah, and it's just shitty people like that, but, unfortunately, yeah, it happens, and it happens so often,
too often. Yeah.
and, I think that's probably one of the things about the whole hybrid is I think there's probably more people out there that have taken advantage
Oh
of
yeah, I'm sure.
not, moving their mouse to make it look like they're online doing
Right.
something, but
Yeah.
they're really not. And then these are the same assholes too that'll whine and cry about whatever 3% increase they got to cover cost of inflation. It's like, what the fuck do you want? And so I
Right.
think that's part of the reason of having people come back into the office. It's like if they're there, you can see what they're doing and what they're
Yeah.
not doing. And
Yeah.
it's a
Which is
lot
sad.
easier to can somebody
Yeah.
because they're not meeting expectations.
Right. Yeah. It's easier to prove. So, like a good example of what um, there is somebody that I work with now that her husband, they were just told that by the end of October, everybody. Okay, well, let me back up. During COVID, they allowed everyone to work from home because they had to. So then they went to hybrid. And then now they were just told last week that they have until the end of October to move back to go full time in the office or they have to find a new job. So
That's
some of these people moved away,
yeah.
because they knew they could work remotely. Now they have to move back
Yeah.
and go back to the office. Like that seems extreme.
I that and I think too it's you know you have to grandfather something in of like okay we went through extraordinary circumstances at that point in time
Mm-hmm.
and either you just let that person be especially if they're a good worker like if they're
Right.
a good worker you're going to find a way and you can have specifics work set up for that person, and you
Yeah.
clearly have a reason why. I don't
Right.
think it's something that somebody would have grounds to saying, "Oh, it's not an equal opportunity employer," right?
Mhm.
This person is getting more benefits than I am, and you could say, anybody new coming on, like this is not what we're offering.
Every
But
corporation does it. I think about like cell phone plans and stuff like that. There is grandfathered plans that they don't mess with. That's the way of the world. So why can't employers do the same thing?
well, I think too, I think it's how much do they want to deal with whiny fucking people. And again, we
Right.
go to
Yeah.
whiny fucking people. And somebody needs to just say no. Somebody just needs to stand up and say, you know what? If you don't fucking like what you have, then leave. Go find something else. If
Right.
you think you can find something else, If you want something different, you're not here in serfdom.
Yeah,
Fucking
nobody made you
go.
stay. Yeah.
Right. Nobody has you handcuffed to a bed in the basement.
And
Fucking
it's always
go.
those people that, until a corporation that makes those harsh decisions like that, there are those people that are like, I could find a job anywhere, blah blah blah. And then whenever it's true and you do have to find it, they're like, what? No. And they're the ones
Yeah.
bitching and moaning, like, oh, so you could spit the game, but you can't play it when it's,
No.
that's not the word, the term I can't remember what it's called, but there's a
You
phrase
can
for it.
talk the talk, but you
You
can't
can
walk
dish
the
it, but
walk.
you can't take
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it's people like that that just piss me off. And there's
Yeah.
some people like that at my job too. And I just don't give a shit about it. Like,
Yeah.
I'll say snide remarks because that's me. I'm a
Yeah.
sarcastic bitch. Oh,
What?
here's a good one. So I was talking with my boss about my latest diagnosis because there is a possibility that I can feel worse before I start to feel better
Yeah.
on the
That makes sense.
antibiotics.
Right.
So I was just letting him know that, like, hey, this is it. This is what I'm starting. This could be a possibility. But I'm like, and I told him, I was like, it accounts for practically all of my symptoms. And I went through them, I listed them off, and he's like, does it account for being an asshole? And I was like, nope, that's just my charming personality. You're welcome.
That's great.
I was like, this is awesome. I love that he feels like he can be like that with me because it's hard to find like my sense of humor for somebody else to be
Yeah.
okay with it because
Oh,
it
yeah.
is sarcastic, and it's
Mhm.
like, here's my thought too on that is like, if you get somebody like you and me and we're being a sarcastic shithead to you, that means we love you.
Yeah.
That means we
Mhm.
love you. If we're just a bitch and we don't talk to you, that means
That's
we're not a
different.
fan.
Right. Yeah. No,
They
Jason brought this up because, and I think we might have even touched on this, how a lot of his employees, they don't really get his sarcasm. And he's like, I want to have fun at work, but nobody like wants to join in, or nobody says anything. Nobody laughs when he tries to be sarcastic. And some people are even just like offended by just him being silly or making jokes, and like none of it's offensive
Right.
stuff. But they're all of a certain age, a lot younger. And he's like, it's just weird because I'm so used to working with people that joke around and laugh and are sarcastic. And he's like, it's just so just stagnant.
It's sticky. It's sticky, it's stagnant, and I think it's because the younger generation, I mean, they were always protected, and I
And
don't think they
always on
got.
their phones.
Yeah, and I don't think that they really know the nuances of sarcasm
Yeah.
and,
They
like,
don't
that
have
level of
conversations with others as much as we did because
yeah,
we had to. You
yeah.
had to be around those people all the time. You had to talk. You had to learn how to, go back and forth with a
Well, if you
regular
stop and think
conversation.
about it, when we graduated in what, '02, '03, and we went into the
Mhm.
workforce, we may have had a cell phone, but we weren't texting at that time.
No.
Like, I don't think I really started texting here in America because over in Europe, when I lived in Italy at the beginning of '03, texting was huge over there. And so
Okay.
that's when I was first introduced to it. But I
Okay.
didn't really use it back here until probably a couple of years after that it became bigger here.
Yeah.
And of course it was like 2233
Yeah. Yeah.
444,
Yeah.
but um I mean, we weren't on our phones at work. We
Mm-mm.
had to interact with the people that we
Yeah.
sat next to, and normally it was in a cubicle farm. So we
Yeah.
were always, and inevitably too, like, our jobs caused us to we had to get up and go to the copier. We had to get up and go to the printer. And so somebody was
Mhm.
always there.
Yeah.
And
You always ran into someone.
yeah, whereas like everything now is digital and you just go into a digital repository, you pull what you need and like the interaction is there, but a lot of my interaction is over Teams. It's
Yeah.
not in
Me
person.
too.
There's such a very few amount of people that I have daily interactions with
Mhm.
that I mean, maybe on one hand I get more work done, I don't know, but I do think that I mean, especially in retail, I mean, I don't know how many people though have their fucking phones on the floor, which drive me fucking crazy. I'm like, are you here to help me or are you just here to like take up space? Because this
Right.
rack looks like shit and I'm clearly not finding something, but you're probably posting a selfie right now of you.
Right.
If
So
you wanna
bored at
call it
work.
that, right, like, you're not even fucking working, but I know you're taking a selfie of me in the
Right.
background at the rack, making up some story that I'm a Karen and screwed up the
Yes.
rack, and now you're going to have to fix it at the end of your shift and have to stay late to work. It's like, bitch, that full 15 minutes that you're gonna stay later is probably the full 15 minutes of work you
That
fucking
you work
did your
for
whole
the week.
5-hour shift, right? Like, fuck you.
All the way off.
All the way off. All the way off. Don't stop short. All the way off.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
But no, I feel bad for Jason because he's not even sarcastic as much as like you and I. Like
I
we
know.
can be, like super bitchy sarcastic. He's just like he's always teasing. Like it's just his demeanor, his voice, like everything about it. You know that there is nothing in question as to is this what he means or is he just joking?
Right.
Now you and I, on the other hand, you may have to stop and think, oh, was that a bitch slap?
Or was it
Or was
an
that
accident?
or was that an accident? Was that meant towards me? Did I do something?
And they wait like a whole day and they're like, were you mad at me yesterday? And you're like, no.
Yeah, I know.
God.
Like, why would you think that? If I look, the moment you know I'm
Jason,
gonna be
that
mad
goes
at you
back to
is when I'm
Jason
not
thought
paying
you
attention.
hated.
Yeah, we're not going to be talking. I'm not going to go to lunch with you. I'm going to make up some excuse that I have hemorrhoids and
Right.
I don't want to leave my chair.
Well,
You
it goes
know,
back
like,
to Jason thought you hated him, remember? And I'm like, no, she talks to everybody like that. He's like, really? He's like, I really don't think she likes me. I'm like, you're so stupid.
oh my god. The magic
How can
of
you be so
sarcasm.
dumb?
It's the magic of sarcasm and how it's lost on a whole generation. It's just so sad.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to keep that strong in our family with my nieces and nephews. I'm
Me
like, you
too.
guys are not going to escape the sarcasm bit.
No. My cousins will post pictures of the babies and everybody else is like, oh, that's so cute. I'll be like, ugh, like get rid of it. I'm the only one in all the comments where it'll be like, ew, that is not cute. Or like,
Right?
am I the only one that still does this? Hello.
Right. And you know what? Like, there's a lot of times where I'll go to post on somebody's and it's like, nah, I better not post that because
you're like, oh, they're going to take me the wrong way.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. But I still do it.
But I know if it's you, I'll just drop something in there because I know it's no harm, no foul. Like you're gonna find it funny, and who cares if somebody on your thread doesn't? Because you're not gonna care about that either. But
it's unlikely anybody in my thread would because they know me.
So right. Like if
like,
in your thread,
they have some kind of like secret. Yeah. It's a hidden joke or what? I can't think of my words today.
Inside joke.
Inside joke.
I know. I've been having problems today too. It's like I can't think of the right word. It's like you know the in-house humor. Oh, you know the inside joke? Okay.
The in-house humor. Can't even think of inside joke.
Inside as opposed to outside humor.
I know,
like I have to leave my house. Like, no,
I know like brain farts are now considerably like mental indigestion.
Like, yeah, it is just it sits there. It sits there. Yeah, it is. It's like mental heartburn. It's a pain. It does not go away. You're like, what? And you start to seize out a little bit, trying to think it up.
Or you waste like an entire 20 minutes because you're still trying to think of that word that you
you're
wanted
like,
to
God
use
damn it,
earlier.
I used
that word. I used to say it all the time.
I know.
And you're like, oh, we're still on.
Yeah.
Oh,
thanks for traveling down. Yeah, exactly. We appreciate you on this ride with us. It's always a little bumpy, but hey, wouldn't be the Nate and Amanda show if it wasn't.
It's because we don't know things.
We don't know a lot. Clearly,
we're proving it every episode.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
my
goodness.
God. All right.
I
Well,
got to get my butt in the shower.
I know. I don't want you to stink alone in the movie theater.
I will. I will.
Well, you'll have to let me know how the Moot movie
Yeah.
is. All
Yeah,
right.
on our next episode, I'll talk about it.
Oh, episode.
Episode. See, I didn't know what that word was.
We better stop now while we're ahead.
While we're
So,
ahead. All right.
thank you, our one fan. We appreciate you. All the
We will
love.
see you in 2 weeks.
Woo!
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Gotta end this damn thing.